And the thing is, of course, as well, the nurses, some of whom are brilliant, some of whom aren't. Philip's had a terrible time with some of the nurses. Luckily, he's been moved now to a geriatric ward, his mum has, and they're being really, really fantastic. But the fact is that, you know, the nurses themselves can leave the hospital, can go to a nightclub, which they're perfectly entitled to do. We have no restrictions. COVID is being transmitted in a hospital more than anywhere. If people are prepared to take a lateral flow test, they're prepared to wear their masks if masks are so important within that setting, and they're vaccinated, there is absolutely no reason. And the thing about visiting being important, Christo, is because we've always known way before COVID that the loved ones spending time with their poorly relatives or friends at the bedside are responsible for so much, because they can see if they're becoming dehydrated. It's all very well for the nurses to say, oh, we gave them the water. It's like, yes, but they didn't drink it. When my dad was in, I could see that his cognitive skills were going again. And I'd say, have you done a urine, has he got a urine infection? Oh, I don't know. We haven't tested him for a week. So I'd insisted on my sister. Well, they did a urine test, and lo and behold, he had a urine infection again. And it needs visitors. I understand we're not talking about having the whole family sitting around the bedside. We're talking about even one allocated visitor, which most hospitals are making feasible. There's no excuse, Christo.
And what I thought interesting is you're an audit at the media as well, aren't you? Because you've tried to get lots of places to talk about this, and no one seems interested anymore.
No, and the thing is, if I put anything on Twitter, which is, I don't know, anything, or anything I say on Loose Women, the online papers pick it up. Denise has a rant about this, she has a rant about that. When it's something like this, they never pick it up. Luckily, the Northern Echo did. Also, Alison Pearson recommended that my friend Philip talk to PALS, which is the patient liaison service. They have been hugely supportive of me on Twitter the other day. And actually, they said that after we've seen what Denise has said, it's something that we're going to look into more. So sometimes, unfortunately, you have to have a bit of a rant publicly for changes to be made, because it's unforgivable.
And we've seen as well, I referenced it when I was introducing you, now it looks like the original modelling around these 500,000 potential deaths, that data, it looks like a Freedom of Information request the week before, they were saying, well, look, we don't know what we can predict because the data is so unreliable. I don't know, as these stories start eking their way out day after day and people start saying, oh, well, look, this was all pretty inhumane, I mean, do you feel a bit redeemed?
Well, I don't really want to feel redeemed, and I don't want to be an I told you so person, but sometimes I feel like shouting it from the rooftop. Those of us who have been vocal, Christo, weren't necessarily saying we're right. We were saying, can we talk about this? This modelling has been wrong. Neil Ferguson was constantly the go-to person, the man who was fired for breaking his own rules, social distancing rules, may I say.
Well, he was having it away with his... He's having it away, wasn't he?
But yet again, you turn on to any of the programmes, any of the TV shows, and there he was again, Neil Ferguson. Nobody else was brought out. And it really annoys me. And also, there's no comeuppance. There's no sort of, nobody ever says we were wrong. And SAGE have been wrong in so many ways, and they've been responsible for some of the most ridiculous, inhumane restrictions, which, as we can see, are still now in effect, because it makes it easier for them to make a blanket ban on things. There is no justification 2 years on for any person to be languishing in a hospital alone and frightened.
It's people covering their own backsides. That's what it is now.